2 of the Harry Potter series, The Chamber of Secrets. This book starts off with Harry Potter living with the Dursleys again, because apparently Hogwarts thinks it's okay to send a child back to an abusive home. Basically, the Dursleys continue to treat him like crap. They're having a dinner guest over on Harry's birthday, but it's not about Harry's birthday, it's about his uncle being able to keep this client. The client is kind of just someone that works, I think, in the same business as his uncle or something like that. But they send Harry up to his room and tell him to pretend he does not exist because they just really love him. While Harry's up in his room, a house elf, basically a slave in the wizarding world that's bound to a wizard family, visits him and tells him not to come back to Hogwarts, that it's going to be dangerous. Basically, to counteract this, Ron and his brothers Fred and George show up in a magic flying car, tie some rope around the bars that are holding Harry in his room, because there are literal bars on his windows, rip off the bars, get Harry in their car, and fly off back to the Weasleys' home. They get to the Weasleys' home, and it's really awesome. Harry has a great time there, and he stays there for the rest of the summer until it's time to go to Hogwarts. So they go to the place to get their school supplies for Hogwarts for their second year, Diagon Alley, which is the big shopping center for all British students who go to Hogwarts. And while they're there, they are buying books and things like that, and they see a book signing for a celebrity named Gilderoy Lockhart, and this dude is going to be known as Super Douche from now on. And Super Douche is kind of, you can just tell right away, very egotistical, all about himself, and just kind of thinks he's got, God's gift to Earth. He sees Harry Potter, the boy who lived, who's kind of famous, grabs him and tries to bring him over to kind of affiliate Harry himself, to make himself more famous and more attention getting while he's signing these books and taking these photos. But after that's over, Harry is walking away, and him and Malfoy start kind of bickering at each other, because apparently Malfoy's also there, and Malfoy's kind of just I bet you loved that, you loved the attention, you little asshole, but in reality it's Malfoy who would have loved the attention. Harry hated it. Ron Weasley's dad, Mr. Weasley, comes up and tries to break up the boys, and then Malfoy's dad is also there, Lucius Malfoy, and him and Ron's dad start kind of arguing back and forth. Malfoy's dad starts talking down to Ron's dad for being lower class and poor, and it's just obvious that he's an asshole. So now they're going to the train to actually go to Hogwarts itself on platform 9 3/4, the also famous way to go to Hogwarts. But everyone goes through, and Harry and Ron go last. But when they try to go through, it somehow blocks them. They're not really sure what to do, and they know they missed the train. So they decide to get to Hogwarts on time. They'll go and steal their dad's flying car. They take the car and they fly to Hogwarts successfully, but with a bunch of non-magic users seeing them in the car, which is a big no-no. Get to Hogwarts fairly okay, except for when they get there, they crash land into a magic tree that beats the crap out of the car. The car escapes from the tree, kicks Harry and Ron out, and then drives off into the Forbidden Forest kind of in a huff for a car. Harry and Ron get into Hogwarts and of course get in major trouble. During the crash, Ron actually broke his wand, and both of them get in even more trouble and are kind of screamed at and yelled at, but not expelled. Otherwise, the series would be over. Ron missed his younger sister being sorted into her house. Of course, she got Gryffindor, as all the Weasleys do. Then the school year begins, and almost immediately, Harry starts hearing voices in his head, and he thinks he actually might be going insane because the voices are talking about killing, death, and murder. Yay! One night, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are coming back from a Halloween party, and they find a giant puddle on the floor. And when they look up from the puddle, they see scrawled on the wall a message in what looks like blood. The message says, "The Chamber of Secrets is open. Enemies of the air beware." There's also the local, janitor to Hogwarts cat hanging from the ceiling by its tail, petrified, as in, frozen. A lot of people believe Harry might actually be responsible for this because he's been so weird lately, and because he's the famous boy who's known for getting up to trouble. Because Professor Lockhart, the super douche from earlier, is actually the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, he is actually starting a dueling club, and the first two students who duel are Harry and Malfoy. Malfoy throws out a snake in the duel because that's appropriate, and Harry begins talking to this snake, and people see him doing this. He's trying to convince the snake not to bite a student, but it looks like Harry's egging him on. This is how Harry unveils to the entire school that he can speak snake, something that only Salazar Slytherin, the founder of the House of Slytherin, is previously known to be able to do. And Salazar Slytherin is known to be the creator of the Chamber of Secrets. But as the school year goes on, more and more students are showing up petrified or frozen, and more people are giving Harry the side eye, thinking he could be responsible. Through some rather intense studying and Sherlocking of things, I think it's Hermione finds out that there's a abandoned bathroom that might be connected to all of this. And they go there and they find a ghost named Moaning Myrtle, who kind of haunts the bathroom and is so annoying that no one will use the bathroom. No one will use that bathroom. So because no one's going to use it, they know it's a good place for them to hide out and do their kind of planning and sneaking and snooping stuff, so they do that. They also begin working on a potion called a polyjuice potion that will allow Ron, Hermione, and Harry to assume the identity of Malfoy's friends and find out if he's actually responsible for all this. They do it. Harry and Ron turn into a couple of Malfoy's friends. Hermione fails and accidentally turns into a half-cat hybrid, but she stays there while Ron and Harry go off to kind of infiltrate and see if Malfoy's responsible for this. They actually find out that Malfoy is not responsible, but every time the Chamber of Secrets is open, a Muggle-born wizard dies. Things die down for a little bit, but their home-based bathroom actually has a flooding incident, and Harry finds a diary in the toilet, takes it and starts reading it, and finds out it's the diary of Tom Riddle. This diary actually holds copies of Tom Riddle's memories, and as Harry reads it, he actually relives these memories like a Tom Riddle would. And what Harry learns is that Hagrid actually had a creature about 50 years ago he was keeping secret in Hogwarts right around the time that these murders started happening. Harry doesn't want to believe that Hagrid could be responsible for this, but he knows Hagrid has a real soft spot for kind of scary creatures, so maybe he is. Right before a Quidditch match, Harry starts hearing more these voices again in his head more intensely, and around that time, Hermione has a major breakthrough in the investigation and goes off to do some more research. Unfortunately, right after this Quidditch match, she is found petrified in the library. At this point, Hogwarts is pretty much in crisis. There's a whole lot of talk going on whether or not the school should be shut down. Harry and Ron go to confront Hagrid because now Hermione's incapacitated and they need to figure out what's going on. Unfortunately, while they're there and their talk starts, there's a knock at the door. Harry and Ron hide under their invisibility cloak, and what comes in are a bunch of officials from the basically board of Hogwarts and a couple of the government officials relieving Hagrid of his duty due to the fact that he might be connected to all this. We also find out from Lucius Malfoy, who's also on the board and there at the time, that Dumbledore has been removed from his post due to his inability to prevent these petrifications from happening. As Hagrid is being taken out in handcuffs, he kind of just announces to the room that if you want answers, you should follow the spiders. And Harry and Ron take the hint, go back to the castle, and start following spiders out into the Forbidden Forest. As they go into the forest, they meet a gigantic spider that Hagrid was taking care of, and that was the creature that was back 50 years ago, not anything related to what's currently happening. That spider has never killed a student. Fortunately, though, it wants its babies to eat Ron and Harry to help sustain them, but luckily Harry and Ron escape with the knowledge that Hagrid is innocent. They also make the connection that the girl who died last time, the Muggle-born who died when the last time the Chamber of Secrets was open, might be Moaning Myrtle. Harry and Ron go to visit Moaning Myrtle, but on the way they run into Professor McGonagall, and McGonagall would obviously have a problem with them being out late at night, trying to go talk to a ghost in a bathroom, so instead they say they were going to visit Hermione in the hospital or the infirmary being petrified, and McGonagall kind of goes, oh, that's cute, and lets them go visit Hermione. While they are visiting Hermione, they see there's a note crumpled up in her hand, and in her hand that note basically talks about a creature called the Basilisk, a creature that if you look in the eyes, you will die, but if you look at it indirectly through like a reflection, you just become petrified. It's also a giant snake, something that Harry can understand. So the voices that Harry's been hearing in his head are actually the Basilisk in the wall, and it's the Basilisk talking about how it wants to kill people. At this time, we learn that the Basilisk has actually taken Ginny Weasley, Ron Weasley's younger sister, into the Chamber of Secrets. So the boys run to the bathroom where Moaning Myrtle is. They learn for sure that 50 years ago, Moaning Myrtle did die, and the last thing she saw were a giant pair of eyes. The boys decide they actually need to get some help, so they go and see the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, Gilderoy Lockhart. But he's actually packing up and going to leave because he's terribly afraid, and he's actually a liar. All of his achievements were basically stolen from other people, and what he's really good at is erasing other people's memories. So he'll erase someone else's memories and take credit for what they did. He's a giant fraud. Harry and Ron then point their wands at him and take him at one point to the bathroom that they're going to use to enter the Chamber of Secrets. So now they have him as a hostage, taking him in to confront whatever is lying down in the Chamber of Secrets. So they know for sure that the Basilisk has been coming out of Moaning Myrtle's bathroom, and that the entrance to the Chamber of Secrets must be there, and they take Gilderoy Lockhart there. One of the pipes in that bathroom, actually, as they notice, looks like a snake. Harry speaks snake at it, and what happens is after he does, the entrance to the Chamber of Secrets opens. They enter with Gilderoy Lockhart. He ends up grabbing Ron's wand and pointing it at them and casts a amnesia charm on them. But because Ron's wand is broken from earlier, it backfires on him, and he forgets pretty much everything. The backfiring spell also causes a bit of a cave-in, separating Harry from Ron and Gilderoy Lockhart, and now Harry must go on alone. Harry goes on alone by himself, while Ron stays with Gilderoy, trying to dig a way out. Harry enters the main chamber and finds an unconscious Ginny Weasley, and a kind of shadowy, ghostly figure standing over her, and that figure is Tom Riddle. Tom Riddle explains that he has been using his diary to gain control of Ginny Weasley and having her scrawl a bunch of the messages and doing a bunch of things for him throughout the school. It's a cursed diary that allowed him to gain control over her. And that Tom Riddle opened the Chamber of Secrets 50 years ago. And at this point, we learn that Tom Riddle is actually an anagram for Lord Voldemort when you incorporate Tom Riddle's middle name, and that Tom Riddle is somehow a part of Lord Voldemort. He asks Harry Potter how, when he was a baby, he could have possibly destroyed or defeated the greatest, strongest wizard in the world, Lord Voldemort, and Harry's response is essentially, Voldemort's not the greatest wizard in the world, Dumbledore is. Because of this insane loyalty to Dumbledore, Dumbledore's Phoenix comes carrying the Sorting Hat and drops it for Harry. Tom Riddle kind of laughs this off, like, what in the world can that hat do for you? But Harry draws from the hat the Sword of Gryffindor, a ruby sword that is incredibly powerful, and uses it to stab the gigantic basilisk that has been serving Tom Riddle, and kills the basilisk. At the same time, one of the basilisk's fangs enters Harry and poisons him, and Harry is dying. Dumbledore's Phoenix then comes and uses some of its tears to heal Harry and the basilisk wound, and that causes Harry to come back to life and be okay, and then the Phoenix kind of fucks off. Harry then uses the basilisk fang that broke off when it went into him and stabs Tom Riddle's diary, destroying Tom Riddle's diary and that part of Lord Voldemort. After Harry destroys the diary, Ginny wakes up and she's alright, and Harry and her leave the Chamber of Secrets all happy and stuff. The school is no longer in crisis, the deaths will no longer be occurring, and the basilisk is dead. This is very good news, and Dumbledore has been reinstated in his post because it's obviously not his fault that a leftover part of Lord Voldemort was terrorizing the school. Dumbledore tells Harry the reason he can speak snake or parcel tongue is because him and Voldemort are somehow intimately connected through when Voldemort tried to kill Harry, and that Harry has kind of a part of Voldemort inside of him. Lucius Malfoy is furious that Dumbledore is back and has a confrontation with them both, and then Harry runs after Lucius Malfoy and gives him back Tom Riddle's destroyed diary, saying basically he knows he slipped this into Ginny Weasley's books and he's the reason that Ginny got cursed and possessed. Malfoy angrily hands the diary to Dobby, and Dobby actually there's a sock with it, and so if you hand a house elf a piece of clothing, that house elf is now free for some reason, and so Dobby is now free from Lucius Malfoy. Lucius Malfoy, in a fit of anger, tries to lash out at Harry and curse him, and Dobby protects him and actually beats his former master. Yay, super happy ending. We learned that Lucius Malfoy has been fired from his position at the school board, Ginny Weasley's okay, and Dumbledore's back in charge, and Harry has the realization that he is a true Gryffindor even though he has this connection to Voldemort. And that is where Book 2 of the Harry Potter series ends. I hope you all enjoyed this summary. I'm hoping to get Book 3 up either much later today or tomorrow. I hope you all are having a good one. Please like and subscribe if you have not already, and peace.